So we were discussing this here, this right, everything's right. So we were discussing um about the sock. Just understand this nicely here. The sock, it is mani only hadath. Mani only hadath means it stopped the hadath from coming in. It's not rafi only hadath. It cannot remove the hadath. Understand this nicely because the next Messiah is going to build on this here. So what is it? If you don't have wudu, right? Or you never wash your feet, or you don't have hadath kamila, you don't have taharat kamila, and then you put your sock on, it's not going to remove your hadath. What it can do is after you have taharat kamila, now you put your sock on, now it will stop from hadath. So it is a mani'. It is a mani'. It stop hadath from coming on, not it remove hadath, right? Is it لأن الخف أهد مانعا because it you can say it's ahdun, yeah, you can say it's like mandate is to stop the hadith from coming. Now, before we look at the next masala, let's explain the next masala. What's the scenario? Here, what is a mustahada? Normally, a mustahada refer to that lady that she has continuous bleeding from her front organ, right? Like one is haiz, and when the days of haiz is finished, she's bleeding continuously. So, normally, the mustahada refers to that lady that has continuous discharge. But many a times in the books of fiqh, when they speak about a mustahada, they don't only mean a mustahada. They refer to anybody who's got a uzr. Even if a person maybe has got a cut, is bleeding, a person got a sickness of infilatul rih, got wind coming out constantly. So just remember that now. It will help you, inshallah. Just remember, mustahada literally means a person who got continuous discharge from a front organ. But as I said in fiqh, when you see this word, it doesn't refer, maybe this is the most common person. It refers to a person who qualifies as a ma'zur or a ma'zura, right? But as I said, maybe the most common person, or rather, maybe the most common ma'zur is a mustahada because they got discharge coming out all the time from the front organ. Right. So wherever you see the word mustahada, remember it means a ma'zur or a ma'zura, right? Let me just give you briefly the explanation of a ma'zur and you to understand this. See, a ma'zur is that person who experienced a breaker wudu for the entire salat time. They don't even have 5 minutes to do the ibadat except right. So obviously, it's not possible that it's not very rare that your breaker wudu will start exactly when the time come in. It will probably start before that. So if it starts in the middle of a previous salat, that salat time you won't be ma'zura. It will only be for the next salat time in which you experience a breaker all the time. Are you with me? Right. So say for instance, somebody call it, so this is the masla here now. Listen nicely. So but like I do ismetore se pechir gear. A person qualified as a ma'zura or a ma'zur, or a person qualified as a mustahada, right? Right. So what it happens, say for instance, so once a person qualifies as a ma'zura, musta'adha, you don't have to make wudu. So look at this. A person already qualified as a ma'zura, right? In the previous salat time. So in this salat time, now they're ma'zura, right? So this is the second salat time. So technically speaking, every time that person explains that naki the wudu breaks or whatever, you don't have to make a fresh wudu, right? Are you with me? Until the salah time comes out. When the salah time comes out with the next salah, now you have to make a fresh wudu, right? So listen now nicely. So this person has already qualified as a mustahada, right? So now Zohr time came in, right? So seven they qualified in the previous salah time, right? So now Zohr time came in, right? So she made wudu, right? So now she bled again, right? Her wudu doesn't break. Her wudu doesn't break. Why? Because she is already qualified as a ma'zura. So she is on taharat, but she is on. We say she's in taharat, but she is like you can say on a supplementary. That now she went and she wore the the leather socks. Now she went and she wore the leather socks. Right now the salat time came out. Now what happened? The salat time came out. So now asr time came out. Now what will the hukum be? The hukum will be this. Listen now nicely. if she wore the socks before she bled for the first time, she just made wudu immediately. Immediately she put the socks on and she completed the wudu. Then when the salat time comes out, we'll say that masa is still intact. Why? Because she wore the khuf before there was a naqid wudu that appeared. Are you with me? But listen nicely now. Listen nicely to this. If she made wudu and then after she made wudu complete, um, she bled again. The naqid wudu was found, right? And then she wore her socks. That will be fine. That will be fine, right? But when the salat time comes out, she will have to remove the socks. You understood that? Why? It comes back to this here. That the socks is mani a hadith. It is not rafi a hadith. Now take you back again. See here. I'll take you back to the scenario where she made a proper wudu and she put a sock on immediately before she experienced the breaker. So when the salat time came out, her hadith comes onto her. What happened? Her hadith came onto her already. So now she don't have to take a sock off. She just have to. So the hadith came on top of her sock. So she has to make masa and the hadith is gone. Are you with me? That is where she put on the sock before she broke. But now look at the scenario is where she made wudu and then her wudu broke. But when her wudu broke, we will say she's still in wudu. We'll say why? Because we'll say the temporary the need to make wudu has been lifted up. So, but that hadith did come on her. That hadith did come on her. So when she wore the sock, right, the leather sock, and then the time came out there, that hadith that was on her already, it just manifests itself. So that sock is can remove a hadith that came afterwards. It right sorry, it can stop the hadith from coming onto her. So it but that hadith came before she wore the sock already, you understand what I'm saying? So it cannot stop that hadith. If it was Rafi hadith, then it would have removed the hadith that came to her before she put the sock on. You understood that? You sure? Is it clear? I hope the online is also understood. And then like another masala is also the same thing. Wal mutayammimu idha labitha thumma ra'al ma'a kana rafi'an siyam. Same thing here. See, a person didn't have water, right? He qualified as a mutayammim. He qualified as a tayammum. So he made tayammum, right? So now what happened? He made tayammum, right? And after he made tayammum, he wore his leather khuf, right? He wore his leather khuf. Now, if his wudu break again after that, what will he say? He can just make tayammum again, right? But say for instance, that person finds water. He finds water, right? So he's wajid ma. So we'll say here, he has to take his khuf off. He cannot say, no, I wore the khuf when I had tayammum, right? So now, like how when I like how a normal person who wears the khuf when they make wudu, like how a normal person wears the khuf when they make wudu. So when when they wudu break, they just have to make masa. No, we say, look here, that time the hadith already settled on him. That tayammum was a supplementary hadith. So when he put the khuf on, that khuf never removed the hadith from him. It was just a mani to stop a hadith that come afterwards. But this hadith already came before he made tayammum. Are you with me? So when he finds water, we'll say that khuf, he'll have to remove it and he'll have to make wudu because the khuf couldn't remove the earlier hadith. It only stopped the hadith that came afterwards. You understood that? Did you now? Wal mutayammimu, and the person making tayammum is labisa when he wore the khuf. Thumma ra'al ma'a, then he saw water. Kana rafi'an. It would mean that if we have to say now that he don't have to remove the khuf, we'll say that the khuf is making a rafa of the hadith, but he's not like that. That's why we will say he has to remove it. That's so you understand what I'm saying? So law jawazna, even these two scenarios, we will permit that a person don't have to remove the khuf, then we would say that we would be saying that the khuf is rafi, and we know the khuf is not rafi, so hence we will not permit it. We say you that the mutayammum when he finds water he have to remove the sock, and we'll say to the mustahada when when the time comes out, she has to remove her khuf and make a fresh wudu. Is it clear? You sure? Right, remix Ibarat. I hope that's clear, inshallah. I hope it's clear. If it's not clear, you can ask and you can explain it again. So yeah, we were speaking earlier about hadath, that when the hadath came afterwards, right? So it's ha dal sin hadathun. We say that the hadath came before the time. That's why when you wear the sock, it will not help you because the sock must be worn when you had hadath kamila. So here the Yamim didn't have hadath kamila, or the Mustahada didn't have hadath kamila. When she wore, when the Mustahada wore the sock, she didn't have hadath taharat kamila, and neither did the Mutayammim also have taharat kamila. It was which is a temporary taharat. You understood? Okay. So the next ibarat, they're actually explaining what I explained earlier. Same thing. وقوله إذا لبسهما على طهارة كاملة لا يفيد اشتراط الكمال وقت اللبس بل وقت الحدث وهو المذهب عندنا. So you look at the ibarat of Quduri on top there, which it says that you have to wear the sock, right? إذا لبسهما على طهارة كاملة. It doesn't mean that your wudu must be complete. So long as what I mean is your wudu is done by the time the hadath came. You understand what I'm saying? Like I told you, like how we do, you wash your feet and then you put your socks on, and then you might delay a little while, and then after you complete your wudu, that's fine. There's no problem with that. So long as that before the hadath come, so long as before the hadath come, you got to complete wudu. You understood? That's the same thing you're saying. وقوله, and a statement which إذا لبسهما على طهارة كاملة, that you when you wear the khuf upon a complete taharat, it doesn't mean this لا يفيد اشتراط الكمال وقت اللبس. It doesn't mean that you must have a complete taharat before you can wear the khuf. No, you can wear the khuf until your wudu is not complete. But it means بل وقت الحدث, as long as you got complete wudu before the hadath come. Well, madhabu indana, and this is the madhab according to us. You understood that? You sure? So what he's saying is, you don't, if you just wash your feet and you put your hoofs on and you delay that little bit, maybe you went to eat, whatever, then you completed your wudu, there's no problem. So, so long as your wudu doesn't break before your before your wudu is complete. So if you what I'm saying is if you wash your feet and you put your hoof on right and then your wudu broke, then you cannot just complete your wudu and make massage on your foot. What you have to do, you have to take it off and redo it, right? Is that clear? I hope that you got it about there, right? So they're saying, yeah. إذا لبس على طهارة كاملة لا يفيد اشتراط كمال افتراض بل وقت الحدث والمذ, right? Carry on. So they're still explaining the same thing again. Right? حتى yeah. So they're saying, see, حتى لو غسل رجليه, a person washed his feet, right? ولبس خفيه, and then he wore his khufs. ثم أكمل الطهارة, then he completed the tahara, right? ثم أحدث, then he made حدث. يجزيه المسح. That's fine, no problem. It was suffice him because he completed his tahara before he made hadath, right? Carry on. Yeah. So in simple words, before we look at the kitab, like I told you, that The sock is mani'un lil hadath. It stops the hadath from coming in. And it will do its function as long as when the hadath come, the wudu is complete. And here, even though there was a delay after wearing the khuf, but the wudu was complete. The wudu was complete when the hadath came, right? So he's saying, لأن الخف, because the khuf مانع مانع حلول الحدث. So that is mani'un is there, you can say come in the middle of a fail. And hulula, what you got the hulula? Fatha there, what? Yeah, so this is a maf'ul, right? So sometimes a fail comes, sorry, a file comes in the meaning of a fail also, ne? So لأن الخوف مانع حلول الحدث, because the khuf, it stops the penetration of the hadath بالقدم into the feet, right? So فيراعى كمال الطهارة. So كمال الطهارة will be considered before it comes, like I told you before, that the khuf, it only has its action. It can only do its work when the taharat is complete. And here, when the hadath came, the taharat was complete, so the khuf could do his work, right? So in fact, this last four lines explain the same thing, right? So فَيُرَاءَ كَمَالُ الطَّهَارَةِ. So the complete taharat will be considered وقت المني, at the time when the khuf has to prevent it, right? حتى لو كانت ناقصة. But if we say the taharat is not complete, like I told you, you just washed your feet and you wore your khuf, so taharat is naqis, right? Right? حتى لو كان ناقص عند ذلك كان الخف رافيا. So there we'll say that the khuf can't do its work because the taharat was not complete. So there, if you're going to say, in the case where a person wore the khuf and made would wash his feet and he wore the khuf and then his wudu broke, and then if you're going to say you just do complete your wudu and wash your feet again, we'll say no, that you in this instance you're saying the khuf is rafi, it is removing hadath. Why? Because the hadath came onto him. Why the hadath came onto him? Because the khuf couldn't do his work originally because the taharat was not complete. The khuf only does his work when the taharat was complete. Are you with me? I hope that is clear. Okay, can you read the next year? يجوز للمسلم أن ينفق يوما وليلة وللمسافر ثلاثة أيام ولياليها، لقوله عليه السلام يقيم يوما وليلة ومسافر ثلاثة أيام ولياليها. Right, interesting masla. Before we look at the kitab, I'll just tell you here. For a person who is a resident in the town, he's not considered musafir. We done kitab safar not yet. A person who's traveling and a person who's a resident, he can make masa for a full 24 hours. And the 24 hours will be counted not from the time he wear the khuf, but rather from the first time his wudu break. Right. وَيَجُوزُ لِلْمُقِيمِ, and it is permissible for the resident, right? يَوْمًا وَلَيْلَةً, that he can make masa for a complete day and night. وَلِلْمُسَافِرِ, and for a musafir, ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامِ وَلَيَالِهَا, 3 days and 3 nights. And again, he also, you will start from the time your wudu breaks. بقوله عليه السلام, because of the statement of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, يمسح المقيم, that the muqim, the resident, will make basa يوما وليلة, a day and night, والمسافر, and a musafir, ثلاثة أيام ولياليها, 3 days and 3 nights. You got any harakat on ثلاثة day? No harakat. ثلاثة, right? That's pretty simple. Carry on to the next one. عقيب الحدث المستشفى الذي رعاية الحدث الحدث ويعتبر فتعتبر. We don't have a, yeah. So what I'm saying in the next part, somebody what I'm saying is, look here. See, the function of a hoof is it stops the hadath from going into your feet. It stops the hoof. So when does it start functioning? It only starts functioning when you make hadath. Before you make the hadath, it wasn't doing any function. So it starts its function when you make hadath. So from the time you make hadath, that is the time which will be calculated. So that قال وابتداؤها عقيبا. Aqiba is mansub because it is a zarf, right? You understood it? Ibtidawa, it will be started, or its starting will be aqib al hadath, after the hadath. لأن الخف because the khuf مانع it stops سيراية الحدث the penetrating of the حدث فتعتبر المدة so the time will be started من وقت المنع from the time it actually stops the hadith from coming through. Are you with me? That's pretty simple. Read the next one. يبدأ you got يبدأ. Okay. You take it majhul, but normally you don't unnecessarily go to majhul. Only the time on this. يبدأ. Right. So pretty simple what he's saying. What he's saying is, uh, how will you do your masa? Just put your foot there before you look, before we do it in the kitab. You take your fingers like this. You start from the toes. So the top of your toe, the top of your fingers, listen, the top of your fingers will will touch the top of your toes, and then you'll draw it up towards your shins. Simple. Let's see. Let's look at the kitab. See. والمس على ظاهرهما. Masa will be done. ظاهرهما normally refers to apparent, but here in this context, I mean masa will be on the top of them too. The top of the hoof, not on the bottom, not on the side, not on the inside, right? والمس على ظاهرهما. Masa will be on the top. خطوطا, this is hal. Lines بالأصابع with the fingers. So you will draw lines with your fingers. Then يبدأ من قبل الأصابع. You will start from أصابع also. In remember the word أصابع, أصابع اليد refer to the fingers. أصابع الرجل refer to the toes. So you will start in this context means you will start from the toes, right? إلى الساق, and then you will draw it up towards your shin. لحديث مغيرة بن شعبة. And why? Because of the hadith of Mughira ibn Shu'bah, أن النبي عليه السلام, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وضع يديه على خفيه. He placed his hands on his khuf, right? ومدهما, and he drew them, he pulled them من الأصابع, from the toes إلى أعلاهما, to the top, مسحة واحدة, one time. So he put his fingers, his hands on his toes, and he drew it up the shins one time, right? وكأني أنظر إلى أثر المسي. So you know when something you can remember it vividly, something so you say as though, in other words, what is that? I remember so clearly, كأني, as though, أنظر, I can see أثر المسح, the effect of the mask على خف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I can see على خفيه, right, على خف رسول الله خطوطا, right, lines بالأصابع with the fingers, the effect of the lines of right of the fingers of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. ثم الحس مس على الظاهر حتم. So he's saying masa upon the top of the khuf, not underneath, not the inside, etc. حتم, it is necessary. حتى لا يجوز على باطل الخف, and there is not permissible on the inside or the underside of the hoof, وعقبيه, upon the heels, or وساقه, or upon the shin, لأنه معدول به على القياسة, because this is something which is like غير مدرك بالقياس, not something which is logically understood. Like I told you, this is ما ثبت على قياس في القياس فغيره لا يقاس عليه. That which is established contrary to logic, you restrict it to what it is. So the thing which is sabit from the hadith is that it was done on the top, so you have to only do it on the top. So this is similar to the Masaf Nabi. That it's only proven from the hadith that we should use Nabi Tamar, so you only use Nabi Tamar, you don't use anything. So this is an important usul. Like how I told you, when something was done against the rule, like against the exception once, then it's restricted to that, right? So it is proven making masaf on the khuf is not a logical thing, right? Logically, you must wash underneath, you must wash your feet, etc. So it's restricted, right? سوف يراعى على جميع ورد به الشرع. So everything which the Sharia has narrated, that will be kept in mind, it will be considered. Okay, time is up, you stop there. This last part we'll just build upon this again tomorrow, inshallah. So we stop the verse, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanakallah bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. So this first part, remember I told you, a mustahada, she put on the khuf after wudu broke. Or the mutayammim put on the khuf after when he finds water, we'll say he has to wash his feet because remember he never washed his feet. And the function of a khuf is only to prevent the hadith, not to remove the hadith. If we say that you put on your khuf after you made the yammum, then when you find water, that means we say that the khuf was rafi'ul hadith. And like a mustahada, she made wudu, but the wudu broke. But we say wudu is not broken. Why? Because it's mustahada. Now she put the khuf on. So we say, no, you have to still remove when the time come out. You have, because remember that hadith already came onto your feet. But only thing is you are excused because of the difficulty. So if you're going to say that you don't have to wash your feet when the new time come in, you can just make basa. That means you are saying that the khuf is rafil hadith, which came onto our feet. But it doesn't have the sifat of rafa. It only has the sifat of mana, right? So we stop there tomorrow. I hope that's clear. But subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa